What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Band Rants channel. And in this video, I'm going to be going over, this is going to be a two-parter. The first video I'm going to be doing is the quarterback carousel, addressing which quarterbacks made the right decisions. And of course, this would of course refer to Tom Brady and of course Russell Wilson making the right decisions. Now, obviously, the former never actually went anywhere new, but him unretiring is a big topic and it's a big part of sports culture right now. So I am going to address it a little bit and why it was the right decision in terms of his playoff favorability and, of course, the way the NFL is right now. But before I get into all of that, please make sure if you're new to the channel, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 100 subscribers, trying to grow the channel. Leave a comment down below. So let's go ahead and we'll get started with, of course, the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest news to a lot of people, which would be the unretiring of Goatman. It was speculated for a long time, but now we know officially that he is going to play for a 23rd season. And this is actually really a good move. A lot of people would think, oh, just stay retired. It's not really a good idea to come back. And they're right in a sense, but not necessarily for the reasons they're giving. Yeah, he might not have much more to prove. Yeah, he might not really need to come back. But the thing is, if you're going to come back and you think that you can still, win the big one more time, then you made the right decision to come back here and definitely to come back in the NFC because the NFC is very weak. I mean, you look back to when Goatman first got there and you had the Seahawks were still playing good. The Saints were still an NFC South powerhouse. You still had Philadelphia, I think, was still on the backswing, but now they're getting a little bit better, but not quite good enough. But the NFC has really taken a nosedive since he got there, and it's not because he's there. That's nonsense. It's just because a lot of the talent that might have been there at one point is gone. There's only 3 teams that are good in the NFC. I mean, the Packers are still good. The Rams just won the Super Bowl and beat Goatman twice last year, including in the postseason. And, of course, San Francisco is still playing at a really good level, and that actually was sort of a resurgence this year. But other than that, I mean, you have a bunch of average and less than average teams. I mean, who's going to really threaten this conference right now? So if you're Goatman, you would at least, at this point, you'd have the NFC South wrapped up fairly easily. You'd have probably a wild card win fairly easily, same as like last year. And when you get to the divisional round, all you really have to do is figure out, which of those 3 teams I just listed you're going to face in round 2. And one of them could even choke to a wild card team. I mean, look at what happened with Dallas. I mean, they were a favored team for a while. I said the Niners would probably beat them, and they did. But lo and behold, I mean, there's not really a lot of power in this conference. I mean, the AFC is loaded, and I'm going to get to that in the second half of this video. But, I mean, this is a strong decision also because of the fact that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are still there, and you can still have a bunch of, slot receivers by committee and still be a power team in terms of offense. Now, your running game really isn't that great, but the wide receivers on your team are good enough to where it's not like your last year or two in New England where you had to have the running backs carry you. Now, the division is also easy. The Panthers are a mess. The Saints have a quarterback issue, and the Falcons are just a team that constantly lets you down. I mean, Tampa's in a clear spot to basically coast through to an NFC South title. Now it's just a matter of who they host. So that's why I think he's in a really good position to come back for one more year. Now, whether he's going to play longer than that, I'm not going to cover because that's something that really is a heads or tails possibility at this point. But now we can get into arguably in my opinion, the biggest move at quarterback, which is the Russell Wilson trade to the Denver Broncos. Now, I know this is obviously old news. You saw the dates. Today's the 21st. You saw March 13th, March 8th. But this is something I need to cover and why they made the right decisions. Now, okay, fine. This was more of a trade. It wasn't necessarily he chose this, but Russell Wilson had a no trade clause. He could have easily told Seattle, go screw yourself, I'm not going here. But honestly, Wilson waiving it to the Denver Broncos is a strong decision. Now, the AFC, normally I'd say, you don't want to be in the AFC. It's loaded. There's a lot of talent here, especially in the AFC West. You have Mahomes, who's still playing at a solid level, who's hosted the last 4 AFC championships. You have the Chargers improving. You have the Raiders improving. But Denver is still a solid team. I mean, they were a last-place team that, in my opinion, had they been in a different division, they probably would have been a wild card team. They probably would have been able to chalk out a few more wins. I mean, they were 7-6 at one point. And yeah, they lost the last 4, fine, but they still were a team that finished with a weird record, but looked okay doing it. And Russell Wilson is clearly an upgrade over whoever Denver had by committee last year. He's clearly the best quarterback they've had since Manning retired. And ironically enough, Russell Wilson was the guy who beat Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 48 when he was a Seattle Seahawk facing the Broncos. Now Russell Wilson can kind of give back a little bit. And Russell Wilson going to this division, it's going to be really fun and really interesting. I think he can actually, this is the team that I think is going to give Kansas City a run for their money and be a wild card team. And if we look at a lot of what's happening right now with Seattle, I mean, if you're asking a lot of people, are they a Super Bowl team right now? There was a poll that said that about 63% actually said that they believe. Now, that could also be a lot of Denver fans optimistic, but the fact is, I can see why they think that they're a strong contender. I mean, they've got great receivers. They've got a great running game, which is something Russell Wilson didn't have in Seattle, in my opinion, since Marshawn Lynch retired. But Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, that's a big deal. Even though Noah Fant is gone and the tight end position is sort of a question mark right now, you still have Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler. You've got some great receiver options. I think Hamler actually might have been traded to Seattle, but even not. Tim Patrick's another good option. So Denver, in my opinion, along with the new head coach Nathaniel Hackett, this is going to be a team that makes a lot of splashes. And I think Russell Wilson's smart. This is a team that can compete in the AFC. This is a team that's going to be at the front of the race in the wild card. And honestly, Raiders, Chargers, even the Chiefs, you better be locked and loaded, son, because these are not the same Broncos you've been used to for the last couple of years. But that's really all I have for this video. In the next one, I'm going to cover who made the wrong decisions. So please stay tuned for that. I'm going to release it today as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.